North Carolina has faced such severe criticism for its anti-LGBT law and specifically its discriminatory policies against transgender individuals that now they have decided to clarify what the law means and who it protects. Now, the governor of North Carolina came out with what is referred to as Executive Order 93. And in the executive order, he not only clarifies what the law says, but also offers some protections for the LGBT community. Now, pay close attention to the wording, and I'll help you analyze it after I read some of his quotes. He says the following: I have come to the conclusion that there is a great deal of misinformation, confusion, a lot of passion, and frankly, selective outrage and hypocrisy, especially against the great state of North Carolina. First, it maintains common sense, gender-specific restroom and locker room facilities in government buildings and in our schools, and when possible, encourages reasonable accommodations for families and those who have unique or special circumstances. The private sector can make its own policy in regard to restrooms, locker rooms, and or shower facilities. This is not a government decision. This is your decision in the private sector. So essentially, this is where he clarifies what the law says. He's like, look, I mean, if the private sector doesn't want to be discriminatory and full of pricks like the government, then by all means, they can make their own decisions when it comes to transgender individuals using the bathrooms that they would like to use. But when it comes to the government in our state, well, we want to discriminate, okay? So we're not going to allow transgender people to use the correct bathrooms. We're going to force them to use the bathrooms that they feel the most uncomfortable using. He continues, as governor, I have expanded our state equal employment opportunity policy to clarify that sexual orientation and gender identity are included. So initially they did not include it. So this is where he did, he did change something. And I guess there's a positive side of that, but it still doesn't protect the trans community in the state. I will immediately seek legislation in the upcoming short session to reinstate the right to sue for discrimination in North Carolina state courts. Now, he says he's going to do it. I don't know whether anyone's going to hold his feet to the fire, but saying you're going to do it in the future isn't good enough. You want to see changes immediately. And again, he's still discriminating against transgender people. He's just saying the government has the right to do it, but the public sector can do whatever it wants. The government is supposed to lead, okay? And they're supposed to lead in the right direction. He's doing the exact opposite of that.
No, this is, oops, guys, I want your money, please, please. I'm sorry, it's not what you guys thought it was. Please help us. PayPal was the first major company to pull out their project that they were doing in the state of North Carolina, which is going to follow a lot of film industry folks and production companies. I know there's a few TV shows that have been filmed in North Carolina, Wilmington to be exact, actually. And this is what this is. This bill is oh crap, we messed up. Shit, can we fix this?
Yeah, it's hurting our economy.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
I'm now backpedaling. I'm saving face. And it's sad because it is discriminatory. And why don't you just get rid of HB2 altogether and come up with some laws that really protect the LGBT community who need protection, who are victims, especially the trans community, and provide education about what it's like to be transgender and what transgender means. And I don't even think they really even thought out HB2, because I was trying to think, okay, if I'm a trans woman and therefore I now have to use a men's room because that's what it's specified on my birth certificate, you're telling me that me looking like a woman now, I'm going to go into a men's restroom. How do you think that they're going to treat me? Yep. How is that safe for me? And then on the flip side, a trans man is then going to go into a female locker room and female restroom. How do you think that's going to make them feel? And who's going to police it? Is there going to be like a guard out front, like checking out genitalia? I mean, really, did they even think this out?
Well, what it is, and even me being from the South, I'm going to just, kind of break it down in the terms from the Bible Belt community, is what's in the Bible is this is not right in God's eyes and how a lot of people in the South view it, because these are red states that we're talking about. So this is where a lot of Mississippi, North Carolina, Alabama, a lot of these things that we're talking about is because, this is an older generation. This generation were kids during the civil rights era, and their parents were, probably against, the civil rights and a lot of other things that were going on. So we're in this same community where that's been, however many years ago. And that's the issue with a lot of this stuff, is how they were raised and how a lot of people in the Bible Belt community view, transgender and gay and things like that. And it's like, well, if it's not in the Bible, if Jesus didn't say it, then I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now with this stuff.
I get the mentality there, but that's why it's so important to have government officials who lead. They were elected to be leaders, and sometimes you have to go against the fears and the paranoia of your own constituents and do what you know is right. Now, unfortunately, they were elected because they have the same paranoia and the same fears and the same bigotry as their constituents. So I guess it's kind of unfortunate and unrealistic to expect them to be leaders in change.
Right.
But I love what you brought up, Sam, and we talked about this on the show last Friday. Mother Jones did this great piece where they went to local police departments in North Carolina and they asked the cops, okay, well, how are you guys going to enforce this? And they have no idea.
Right.
The reason why they have no idea is because of the things that you just mentioned. Okay, so me as a woman, I don't care who uses the bathroom, right? I don't care if it's a man or another woman. Like, I'm in there to do my business and get the hell out, right? But I know that there are plenty of women who would feel uncomfortable if someone who appears to be a man comes into the room or restroom, and let's say someone does call the authorities, right? Do the cops then come and check out your genitalia? Like, that's insane.
And what about a trans woman? Like, she already is oftentimes a victim against violence, and then she's supposed to put herself in a situation where she's in an environment where she, to them, looks like a woman, and she's using the restroom next to them, and who knows how tolerant they are and how they're going to treat her. That's not a safe place for a community of people that are already discriminated against and are victims of violent crimes.
Right.
It's just a lot of ignorance and, you know, fear, and unfortunately that translates into legislation that gets passed. So,
well, after the show, I'm gonna walk into the women's restroom just to see the reaction and see, you know, if that's all right. And we'll see who enforces
Okay,
it.
challenge accepted.